What's going on, macro perspective peeps? Man, we have a freaking amazing episode in front of you guys. But first, before we get into that, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Obviously, when you get to share, you're helping out a friend or somebody, that's interested in an episode, can help them along with their macro perspective goals as well. So with that being said, today we have an amazing guest, the second fittest man in Nevada, Leo Franco. Did a little homework on him. He's got a few things on the docket, but I want to just let him kind of speak, introduce himself, and get going. Leo, thank you for being here today, man. We're really honored, appreciate it. Mind just introducing yourself, kind of where you're at, how we got to second fittest, and kind of what you're excited for nowadays, man.
Yeah, man. So my name is Leo Franco, two-time fittest man in Nevada. Just turned 25 a few weeks ago, and pretty much, I'm very excited to be on the path that I'm on. It's been one hell of a roller coaster going up and down, and at times I thought I would never be where I am now in life. But struggles, tribulations, all that stuff. It definitely shaped the man I am today, and I'm very excited for the future. And some things that I'm excited about are like my YouTube that I'm starting out, and maybe some new business ventures that I might get into.
Yeah, no, I love that. We're gonna get into that, and I know we were kind of talking about that a little bit, but tell us a little bit about your history here. Like, how did we get to CrossFit? How did we get to the constant, games mindset, the championship of going into it, hitting that few years in a row? How did you get there?
It's been a long journey, and I feel like my life did a complete 180 because I was never the type of person to like really work super hard when I was young. Honestly, I was kind of lazy when I was a younger kid, and I hated doing hard work. I hated doing just things that like where you're struggling during the moment, but they make you better in the long run. I hated doing things like that when I was a kid. I got to give a lot of credit to my brother because he's the one that got me to play sports. He's the one that got me to play soccer. He's the one that got me to work hard and to go after my goals. And he's the one that got me into CrossFit.
Oh, freaking awesome! Was he your older brother or
Sure.
younger brother?
Older brother. I got one sibling, one older brother.
Okay, got it.
So you're mentioning this path of not liking hard work, and now you do the sport that requires probably the most work on the planet. I mean, we can all attest to that, given our both mine and Seamus's background. And I mean, how much time are you thinking about training right now? Like, and how are you managing that amongst, like you just mentioned, some business opportunities you're considering?
Yeah, so right now I think I have a pretty good schedule down. I'm training about 4 to 5 hours a day if I'm in like season. Right now it's like maybe 1 or 2 hours just because it's off season and I'm trying to get back to being healthy. But pretty much I wake up around maybe 8 or 9 and try to enjoy my morning, try to get some sunlight for sure, at least like 20 minutes, eat some breakfast, drink my little tea that I've been drinking, and then get ready for the gym. I'll usually get to the gym around like noonish, maybe 12:30, and that's my first session from about 12:30 to about 3 o'clock, 3:30, and then from there I'll head to Tread Vegas, which is where I coach. I'll coach two classes, and then right back to training from about 7 p.m. till 9 p.m. And that's pretty much my whole day. So once I leave the house around noon, I don't get back to about 9, 10ish. And then once I get back, I scramble to eat some food, stretch out a little bit, and then right to bed and repeat.
Marcos, this is what they don't talk about right here. This is what they don't talk about in like the training,
Mm.
and then still being a working man and still having
Mhm.
to, feed yourself and get home, pay the bills, but then also, hey, I'm still trying to come. They don't talk about this. See this? See, this is the deep, like in the trenches kind of stuff.
I mean, again, that's kind of part of like when I said young man's game is that you don't have a better time in your life to do it than when you're kind of finding yourself, right? Like that this is probably not a forever end game of like chasing a dream. And shoot, I mean, at Leo's age is when I had my son. And the CrossFit dreams went down the fucking toilet, if I'm being honest. And and watching other people that are in our Vegas community get better and better was a hard thing to kind of swallow for me personally. But I then realized I don't have that 5 hours a day that Leo talked about, you know? And even at the most back in the day for me peak training, it's far more time that needs to be dedicated to training now than it did then. It was like maybe 3-4 max. Now he's saying upwards of 5. It's like, you know, that's where you probably need a little bit of, again, like people to be bought in with you or building your brand, which makes a ton of sense about like Leo's aspirations of like doing the channel to like show people what it is, inside dive, get people that could be connected and support that, because you only get one time in your life to really chase being an athlete, right?
Yeah.
And you know, like some people are gifted at a young age and they have the work ethic then because who knows why, you're just motivated. But I think I had a similar path to Leo. Like I wasn't really interested in like doing the hard work and training really until like my senior year of high school. Like I liked lifting, I liked the aesthetic chasing, but like the hard work stuff, that didn't happen until I found CrossFit personally. So I think it's like it's just you against you technically, or you against the clock, and then go show out at a competition and don't be the weakest fuck there, right?
Yeah. I had like little inklings of hard work like my junior and senior year, kind of like you did. Referring back to my brother, he's the one that like, so I played soccer all through high school, and I was on the JV team freshman and sophomore year, and that just like absolutely crushed me because I've been playing soccer since I was young, and then getting to high school, you know, so everyone's dreaming to be on varsity, and I wasn't. So then my brother kind of pulled me aside and was like, "Yo, you suck. Like you got to train." You know.
Mm.
So we got after it every day, maybe like 45 minutes to an hour. We would go to the park and just play every day, every day, every day. And then come junior year, I make the varsity team. Come senior year, I'm starting for the varsity team, and we actually end up winning state my senior year,
Mm.
which is pretty cool because that high school hasn't won state in soccer for about like I think it was like 30 years or something. It was like 19 something.
Which high school?
Clark.
Oh, Jesus. Clark is like one of the OG Vegas high schools too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, like it's super cool. Like in the gymnasium now, they have like all the banners, and they have soccer, and they have just 2 state titles, one from like 1970 something, and then 2016. So yeah, that was pretty cool. But
Bragging
I
rights.
just yeah, I just saw like I was like, oh, like I dedicated this time to try to improve, and I saw a little bit of that kind of payoff in soccer. But I didn't see too much of it because it's a team sport. You know, like you can improve yourself as much as you possibly can, but if your team isn't as good or if they don't pass you the ball, then you can't really show that on the field. It wasn't until I found CrossFit where I saw a direct correlation between the work that I put in and the results that I reaped from that. So I saw a little bit of it in high school, but once I found CrossFit, it was like, oh shit, if I work harder than everyone else, I can get more results than everyone else. So
Yeah. Nah,
Mm.
you're so freaking right with that. Like it it's hard in team sports. I wasn't necessarily in team sports. I wrestled pretty much middle school all the way to college, and you know I was doing CrossFit and some of that. And it's weird because it's like it is a team sport in the sense that like you know you're part of a weight class. You got to get this match going, and your team is there, but no one else is out there on the field with you. And that's the same thing with CrossFit. That's why I like that feel of CrossFit. I love the training aspect because you put in the 4 or 5 hours a day, you do a regional, you do an open, and you're like, oh, look at my name. That's where I'm at. And you get to see. I mean, can you speak upon like a little bit of your training? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I
What's
would be
the three
curious to
hour
kind of see.
session? What's the 2 hour session look
Yeah,
like
how does that look?
for
Because it's
insight?
like I've never. I mean, I've trained that hard before when I was wrestling. You know, you'd have to do some weights in the morning. You'd have to do practice. You'd have to do conditioning, and obviously there was like summer camps and all that. But like my training now, honestly, I think I only lift like 3 times a week now, and I walk every day. That's all I do now. I'm not being an athlete anymore. So for me, I'm kind of like, oh man,
get
I'm
those
kind of
steps in,
I
bro.
want to live vicariously. What are you doing?
So I break it up 2 sessions a day. my first session, I always start off with my monostructural slash like engine work. So that's like the 20 to 40-minute range workouts where you're just working on your cardio, usually body weight and machines. So like rowing, burpees, and double unders, or like long ski intervals or long run intervals. And then after that, I'll take a maybe 20, 30-minute break and then go into my lifting session, which I like doing after my engine. One, because I'm warmed up, and then two, I'm kind of tired a little bit. So I'm getting to lift under fatigue, which I think is like the main thing in CrossFit, lifting under fatigue. So I do my engine first, then I do my lifting. And then if I have a gymnastic workout to do, I'll do my gymnastics. If not, I'll do core. So it's either gymnastics or core, depending on what I have programmed for that day. If it's gymnastics, it's usually just like one or two movements and kind of going back and forth. So like a couplet between like strict handstand push-ups and strict pull-ups in a weight vest, or like legless rope climbs and handstand walks, or something like that. Something where I'm just focusing on gymnastic movements. And if it's core, it's usually like a pretty quick session with core, maybe just like some GHDs, some plank holds, or some oblique crunches, just simple stuff to work on the core, or some sandbag holds. And that'll pretty much be my first session. So engine, lifting, and then gymnastics. So like three separate kind of things. And then my second session will be my Metcon, which is either one or two Metcons, depending on how long they are, and then accessory work to finish off the day. So whether that's like my squats for the day, or some strict presses, some stretches for my shoulder, whatever that may be for the day, I'll hit that to kind of finish off the night and kind of use that as my cool down also. So that's how I break it up. I do my Metcons later in the day after I finish training, and I start off my days with engine to kind of get the body moving.
Man, so good.
Do you find that this like evolution to like the training, right? Like I feel like so many, again, you went to a gym setting, and I know you coached at CrossFit gyms. It's like always strength first, right? Like strength first, and then into that after part. Were you doing that before, and then you switched it around because you were actually lacking more in the monostructural, or did you just find that like it was a good way to like be warmed up for your lifts?
So it was kind of like 2-in-1. One, my coach realized that, hey, you're pretty strong and your cardio is lacking a little bit. So we do the cardio first. But also another thing, which has been a big help, is when I'm doing qualifiers, or if I'm doing online competitions and there's a lift, I do the lift first when I'm fresh, which I don't get to do during training. And usually 85 to 90% of the time, I'll PR during online competitions because I'm lifting fresh. When I'm not used to doing that every day, usually I'm lifting when I'm very, very tired after my cardio session. So I find that if I just do that during my season, and then once the open comes, once quarterfinals comes, once semis comes, I'm usually able to PR my lifts when I'm doing them fresh.
Ooh, yeah, your coach has great insight.
Peaking cycles makes sense, but okay. So, I mean, you weren't necessarily the one to identify that. That was like kind of a coach that stepped in and said, hey, like you've put a lot of like effort into getting stronger. I remember in some of your posts, like for those that don't know, you would look back and reflect on, here was me at like, what were you, like 160 or 50 pounds before you like really got into CrossFit. Now you're like almost 200.
I was 135 when I started CrossFit. I was just getting out of high school. So yeah, I was 18. I was 135.
Okay. And what do you weigh currently?
I'm between like 196 to 200.
Okay. 60 pound difference, right? Like, of course your numbers will go up just with weight alone, but like, I mean, I'm sure you get into a workout and then you're getting, crushed by an RX weight and you're like, how the hell am I going to do this one day?
Yeah.
Now I look at the other way around because like, I know what that arc feels like. And it's like, I look at you at semifinals, like how are these guys doing this right now? Like, I mean, they just ran an 800-meter like sprint effectively. And then the numbers, like I think the lowest snatch in your region was like, what, like 255 ish, maybe. Like,
Uh, no, I think like 225 maybe on the lower
okay,
end.
so someone
Wow.
bombed out,
Yeah,
probably.
they bombed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I kind of bombed on that one, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, okay, so I mean, let's look at the East region. I think I saw more snatches over the 285 mark, which is like, again, absurd, right, for this like
Yeah,
caliber of person, right? And I think if they did an average of that, it would be, again, what most people, even going into a Oli lifting competition, would be stoked with as like top end or mid range opener or whatever. But yeah, I don't think people truly understand. And also, too, I don't think people truly understand because of the ease at which people do these feats, how hard it really is. Like when they joked about having, I think that's the beautiful part about the Open, where they have like the proxy person, like the average person that just goes to the gym, doing it with like the elite athletes to give you perspective.
yeah.
They should do that at the semis too. Just have like somebody get thrown in there.
Hey,
Yeah.
that'd be fun to watch.
You'd be like,
For
oh,
sure.
this person's like not even done with a round and they're 3 rounds deep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, with, uh-oh.
It's
Yeah,
on
you
my
got
laptop. I don't know why it's ringing.
the upper right-hand corner, you can hit focus mode. And then it'll mute, or D&D,
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons mode.
Dungeons and Dragons mode. Yeah.
Here we go. Okay, I
I
think I
know.
got it.
Cool. So, but, okay, so that arc, that evolution, working hard. I mean, have you had fun like at every step of the journey so far for yourself?
What's funny about that is I have until recently.
Mm.
What's going on?
So for the past what I started in 2016, late 2016, early 2017. So for the past like 6 years, it's been all uphill for me, like an upward trajectory. Always having fun with my sessions, always throwing down with the boys, and I would say in probably the past year after semis last year, when I feel like I hit like my peak so far. Uh, I had a pretty good showing at semis. My body was in the best shape it's ever been in. I had no injuries, and then after that, just had some changes and was doing most of my workouts by myself for the past year. And I just started to get into this cycle where I just wasn't enjoying training that much. I still did all my sessions. I still, stuck to the plan and I still got after it every day, but I just wasn't having as much fun with it as I used to. And I think it showed uh, this year in semis that I was a little bit maybe burnt out or I was lacking something. And I think it's because like I've been doing the same thing for so long now that I needed to introduce something to kind of spice it up, which is why I'm pretty excited about starting my YouTube channel because I feel like I've been alone in this journey for the past like year now, and I think it'll be cool to kind of. I know it's not like someone there with me, but I think it'll be cool to kind of show people like what I'm going through because I feel like a lot of people don't actually know what I do every day. Like all my friends know that like I'm a pretty fit guy. I'm in the top 100 in the world in CrossFit. I'm the fittest man in Nevada, but they don't actually know like what I do in the gym. Like when I show them videos of me doing stuff, they're like, "Oh, I didn't know you did that. Oh, I didn't know you did that. I didn't know you did that." So I think just me starting this YouTube and showing people like how I actually live, how I train, and what I do every day, I think it'll not only like make me excited about training again, but I think it'll also be a good eye opener for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of my mentors said, document, don't create, right? And then
Yes.
from there, you're going to be able to maybe find other people in a
Yeah.
similar journey or gaining value in areas that like you probably thought nothing of it, and people are laughing at the fact that like you're dancing during lifts or how the music's blaring or what's getting you pumped up for a particular session. And shoot, then again, having more people be inspired to like come and join in on the fun because in the CrossFit setting, misery loves company, right? It's always better when you have someone there.
Always.
Um, and
Always.
those, the change and the transition to like continue that upward trajectory for a lot of people, it does reach like a plateau or almost a decline for a little while when you stop having fun, right?
Yes.
And that's why I asked that question, because as soon as it stops becoming fun, then again, you're no longer going to enjoy the journey, and then you're no longer going to enjoy the event, right?
Yep.
Um, and I think this has been something that I'm noticing amongst younger athletes in the space, because they're getting exposed really young and they're maybe having a good amount of success in the 15, 16 category. Then they bump up, right? And they actually get into the adulthood category, and it's a whole new field. It's a whole new competition. You know, you were a big fish in a small pond, and now you're a big fish in, in the ocean with a lot of other bigger fishes.
Yep.
And every time you continue to elevate, you lose something, you leave something behind. It's generally fun, right? So you saying you're trying to incorporate more fun into your day is actually a really big sign of growth, because I identified that same thing. That's why I chose never to go individual, because I didn't want that stress. And I knew it's far more fun training with 6 other people every day, knowing we're working to a common goal, even though we may not ever gotten to the biggest stage, than it was for me to put my head down in some of those local competitions. I fucking hate competing alone. I'm sure you probably do too, to some degree, right?
Um, I'm a little bit different there, where like I kind of enjoy the stress,
Mm.
and I kind of enjoy the pressure, and I kind of enjoy being it all on me. Uh, I think what I don't enjoy is, having to go to the gym by myself and knock out some row intervals or knock out some heavy squats, and I'm the only person in the gym. So I think that's why it's gotten to me in the last year, where usually I was always surrounded by people, training with Elijah at This Is CrossFit. We had like a group of 20 guys
Mm-hmm.
who got after it every session. So I was never alone. And that's why I was always PRing my lifts, always PRing in like intervals of running, always getting new and faster times. And that all kind of stopped within the last like year. Because once you get like really, really fit, it's hard to get fitter from that. And that's where you
Yeah.
start getting into the 0.1%. And I think last year I hit like that pro level in CrossFit, where I'm a semi athlete kind of games bubble, and it's really hard to improve from there. And not only that, but it's also like I started training by myself, so it kind of just took all the fun away. But I do like having the pressure, and I do like having the stress, and it's what I crave, and it's what kept me in it when I was not having fun with it anymore.
Mm.
Yeah. No, I highly like connect with that, Leo, just because like being a wrestler and like doing jiu-jitsu and being like a grappler, like even though it's like a team sport in the sense that you need a grappling person to like do your technique on, there's a lot of training that you can do outside, or what they call like shadow drilling, right? And sometimes that's the part where like a lot of growth can come from, right? The part that
Yes.
isn't fun, right? Doing those row intervals, doing those ski intervals, or for me, it was a lot of like, even though we just had a 2 hour practice in my college, we just had a 2 hour practice, I would spend another 30 minutes shadow drilling just because I needed to work on like a single leg or a defense, just kind of visualize. No one's there to see that, No, no one's there to see that. You're freaking tired. It's the end of the day, or the end of a session, and you're like, I still got to do this. I think the worst thing, or maybe a piece of advice I would give you is like, in in pursuing self mastery, right? In pursuing bettering your fitness for the CrossFit games, or anything like that. It's like, yeah, don't lose that fun ability. Don't just make it like a checklist. Oh, I did my checklist today. I hit my macros. I hit my. I think the part where people burn out is because you have a big engine. You have a big engine, Leo. You freaking train hard, and I know Marcos knows this too. It's like you can hit the checklist, but where's the fun? Where's the creativity? Where's the spice? Where's the je ne sais quoi of life? Right? That's where you go. Come on, bring that part, bring that part. And I think when you get more of that, I think this, like you said, like the stress for me, I love it when like the lights are on me and it's go time for a match. I'm like, oh, it's my turn. I get to be creative. I get to have more fun. I get to do that. Like matches don't stress me out. They make it fun for me. So, um, but yeah, it's hard when you have the hood on or when it's dark and you have to go through that. But it's you got to find a way to not just hit the checklist. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Mm. I It's weird that that's like where you find like a eustress, like a good stress for yourself. I find the opposite. Academically, I'm kind of the opposite, ironically. Like I'll just like, here's my group project. When it comes to sports, I'm like, I guess I've only ever played a team sport. There's never, I mean, I guess you can consider like when you're on a baseball team, you have a moment where you're technically having to perform, and there's pressure on you, but like it's never really been that way. So everyone, hey, that's probably the difference of why those people get to that level that you're at versus, just doing stuff for fun here in a local circuit these days, right? But again, it's lonely at the top. And like you mentioned, you were around another person that's been to the games multiple times, and cream kind of rises to the top, right? So are
Yeah.
you seeking more interactions with people that are at that caliber of you so that you can squeeze out that 1% better to then be, again, in the top 10 of those 60 people that are going to be at semis next year?
Yeah, I've definitely have started looking for some new training partners and possibly a new gym to train at. I have some things in the works that hopefully, if it works out, it'll be a very exciting 2024 season. And I think that's what I kind of needed, kind of to be around people of my caliber, just because like I love the people at my gym, but it's different when you have someone who's better than you pushing you in the workout versus someone just doing the workout with you just to join in,
Mm-hmm.
which is what I have right now at my gym. People just join in on my workouts, because they want to work out with me and they want to train with me, but they're just hopping in to kind of keep me company versus you going against someone who is going to like push you to the max in this test or in this qualifier. So for sure started looking at some new options.
It sucks to leave behind some of the past, man. Take it from me. I've been a member of God knows how many gyms or coached at a few different ones over the years, but nothing was better for my quote athletic career in this sport than moving to where the cream was, you know? And sometimes it takes kind of some being humble in defeat, right? And then realizing, like, what are those people doing that I'm not? How am I going to get better now? Maybe I've exhausted the option of where I'm currently at. And while I love these people and I love that community, again, you can still go back and do a workout with them, just for fun. But, you know, if you wanted to be, you know, rocking those game shorts at some point in time, which I know is like kind of like more of like a self satisfaction win than anything, it requires some sacrifice of people that help build you. And it's going to be a little bittersweet, but those people would want nothing more than see the success for you, guaranteed.
Yeah, I like it how you said, what are those people doing that I'm not? Because I think for the last year, probably, maybe a little bit longer, I think I've had the wrong mindset in my training where I've always had like a chip on my shoulder and I've always trained with like hatred almost. Like why is that person better than me and I know I train more than them?
Mm.
Like, how is this person lifting more than me? And I know I work on my technique more than them. Like, how are the people that are over there able to rise and to qualify for the games when I've gone over there and I've trained with them and they don't train as hard as me? And I feel like I've had a lot of like, I guess it's hatred, but I've just had a lot of like negative negative vibes in my heart with training because it's like, fuck, I'm doing everything that I think I can to get to where I want to be, and I'm still not there. And I think it's, I stopped having fun with it. And I think it's because, like, sure, those people over there aren't maybe going as hard as me, but they're surrounded by a group of people. And when you're surrounded by that group of people, it elevates everyone. And
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to elevate yourself when it's just yourself. So I think I've
Yeah.
had a little, I think I've had a little shift in mindset and in mindset where it's like, okay, maybe I need to stop being a lone wolf and I need to join a pack because I've been
Yeah.
alone for a while now, and it worked in the beginning, but it was starting to get draining over the past
Yeah.
year.
That feeling, I'll put a, I think maybe the word you're looking for, not hatred per se, but envy of sorts
Yeah,
in a way,
yeah,
because
like jealousy.
yeah, it's weird. It's a weird dichotomy of jealousy, envy, maybe a little hate, but like also that chip on your shoulder. I understand it 100% because you're like, dude, I'm doing all this freaking work. I'm doing all this work, but how do these guys show up and still have the best performances? Because I do that all the time. I see that, and there's no other sport like CrossFit or even like jiu-jitsu because I do the same thing where I'll be like, I'm drilling this like 1,000 times. I'm drilling this 1,000 times. I've smashed this guy, you know, in the practice room, but there's a difference between the practice room and competition day, right? And there's a difference between competition day and how you are aroused. If you're training, and I'm just to be honest with you, I took envy and hatred out of my training all the time. I think maybe another word with it is just the expectation upon yourself, right? That you do all this stuff and you justify it, and then you realize, yeah, these guys are training in another way, and I'm just trying to do more hard work and more hard work. And all I know is hard work. Yet somehow I work harder than them, but they're doing better than me. And it's like annoying and it's frustrating. But you're right. It's because sometimes it is the room, it is the elevation. It's sometimes the people, they get the rub. You call it like kind of like the rub. I don't know if you've ever seen in boxing, but like some people they fight like a person higher than them. Yeah, they get rocked, they lose, but then you see their tenure afterwards and they felt the rub from that person. They're like, I felt it. I can do that. So you're right. Being with somebody else that's going to push you and you're going to get the rub from them. It doesn't physically, like there's not necessarily like a change, but your mind opens up another door that you've never seen before. Not even in your imagination have you ever seen it before. You're going to be like, this is a whole new world I think you're going to be unlocking, Leo.
Yeah, and that's not only with CrossFit now. It's also like with people in my everyday life. I've always been a pretty closed off person, and I've always stuck to myself, and I've always had like maybe one or two friends, and I've never really like gone out and made connections or tried to interact with other people. And now that I've learned that from CrossFit, I started realizing like, man, people can elevate you, you know? And it's that saying like if you hang out with like you are the sum of the five people you hang around with. I've tried now in my life to hang around people who I want to be like. And I try to surround myself with people who have the same mentality as me and who want more out of life. And I just recently found like a really good group of people that I'm around now, and even that makes me excited. Like not only for CrossFit, but for my life. Like what's in store for me in the future. Now that I've kind of allowed myself to open up. Like I've said, I've always been pretty closed off. I've always kept my feelings to myself. I've always just kind of gone in the corner and been that quiet kid my whole life. And now that I'm starting to kind of venture out of my comfort zone and start interacting with other people, I've realized that it's better to have people by your side than to try to do everything by yourself.
It's welcome to your mid-20s, bro. It's when you start realizing that the more shut off you become, the less you can actually grow. And then wait
Yeah.
till you turn 30 like me. And then you realize, oh, wow, really like my net worth is truly the network of people that I can engage with on a regular basis,
Yep.
you know? And you know, a lot of the times, uh, um, you're, you're, what's your ethnicity?
Mexican.
Mexican. Okay. So really strong family communal ties, right? Um, very much so, like you speak about your brother very highly of him, right? So you guys are very close. And
Yep.
the thing that I've noticed though in this like upbringing, again, personally, and it sounds like that arc is very similar with you, is that maybe they're like, Leo, you had so much more potential in some other things, yet you feel so passionate about this thing that they're afraid that you're limiting yourself because you're after this goal that you need to accomplish. But rest assured, in 5 years from now, I guarantee it, because I was practically in the same boat as you, and that arc changed because you started surrounding yourself with these newer people. You then realize that the connections were more important. You're making even above and beyond where your athletic career or goal. And I look back and I was like, man, if I would have taken this job offer here, it may have taken me away from the community element and again more of like a family kind of tie, right? Because like a CrossFit community really does have that in a gym setting. But then when you then learn is like all these people can support me in a variety of ways, emotionally, financially, job opportunities, you name it. And I look back and I've reflected on that like literally right before this call. And I was like, I wouldn't change anything I did. If anything, I wish I would have pushed it harder. I wish I would have like skipped class more and like put off my degree an extra year to get more involved in this because it shaped me into again understanding I didn't take biomechanics, but understanding programming to a level that I can look at things and work with somebody that, again, is maybe like a doctorate in physical therapy and come up with collaborative approaches to things. But you don't really learn that in school. You don't really learn that on your own. You have to learn that with a group of people,
Yeah,
right?
through other people.
Yeah. But mm, the challenges that you will then face, you will, I think, as you start to document yourself and your interactions with other people, that's where the fulfillment was truly lying. And it's what started this with me and Seamus. Honestly, man, like we started this as like, mm, our other company's not going to do this right away, but we can do it just for funsies. Great conversations. A lot of people. We reflected on this right before we talked with you. We're like, can't really, we were like, but you got to pick a best episode we've had so far, and we literally said we're going to pick one person, but you literally could pick every episode because it dives into something deeper. It dives into something that people don't know they likely need. And hopefully we title it appropriately so people will eventually watch. Right. So with you, you know, um, have you ever thought about life after CrossFit? Where does that go?
I have, and that's where my mind has been lately, which is why I've started to, open up and try to connect with other people. At the end of the day, ever since I was a kid, I've always had this feeling that I was meant to be somebody and that I was meant to be not like famous, but I guess like known. I was meant to be known. I've always had this feeling since I was a kid that like I'm gonna grow up one day and I'm gonna be somebody. Like I'm gonna be successful. I'm gonna be rich. I'm gonna be like all these things that you see on the TV, and I couldn't fathom as a kid how or why people grew up and just lived a regular life. I've always felt like I was never a regular person, and that's where I've started to see now, like, oh, maybe me getting into CrossFit wasn't a coincidence because it's led me now to be kind of known in my city, and it's led me now to be kind of known worldwide. Not to the degree that I wanted to be yet, but hopefully, if I achieve all my goals and if I put forth the effort that I know I can, and I know I can get to that next level where I can be in that top, 1% of the people in the world, that I definitely want to be known. And I think me starting this YouTube channel and starting to be more of like an influencer type person, I can use CrossFit as kind of like my like, okay, here's me as a professional in this sport, but here's also me like as my lifestyle. So then I could kind of transfer that into like whether that's selling merch or selling online programming, which I don't do currently, but I'm hoping to do in the future. But for me, it's for sure making sure that I have my name into something so that I can have like that kind of respect behind my name. So that's where like that this whole thing with YouTube came into play, where it's like, okay, I want to take this to the next level. I want to be the first CrossFitter to ever document his journey to make the games because it's never been done before. No one's ever vlogged
Mm.
their entire season and made the games Like Noah Olsen has a YouTube channel, but he's already made the games. Matt Frazier has a YouTube, but he was already a games winner when they started it. No one has ever shown the journey and actually achieved it. So
Yeah.
that's what mine was.
You're documenting your way to success. I love that. Like that's so freaking inspiring because yeah, you're right. Like you look at Rich Froning, you look at Matt, you look at like Noah, like they were already there at the top. They were already known for that. Then they decided to make like a social media thing. Let's do it the
Yeah,
other way. Why don't we do a social media thing now? Document and man, that's crazy because now people are gonna be they're gonna see your trials, your tribulations, the ups, the downs, the everything, and it's like Marcos and I were talking about this. Like, dude, people are gonna be looking at you, Leo. Maybe there's gonna be another kid, not named Leo, but somehow like Leo. Like, I'm not built for a regular life, and he's gonna watch you, and he's gonna be inspired, and he's gonna know more about you, maybe than you know about yourself, because he's gonna be watching your ticks. He's gonna be the watching how you row, watching how you like do a clean and jerk, and he's like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do that too. I'm gonna do that too. So that's freaking phenomenal. So the vision there is more vlog style with that.
yeah, more vlog style and just show like the behind the scenes because I feel like CrossFit has kind of lost touch with that. You know, they used to do these road to the games where you kind of saw the behind the scenes of the athletes and how they live, and they kind of like canceled that series, and they've kind of like I think cut back on uploading and creating content. And so, you know, people have tried to pick it up, like Vellner, Noah, Matt, by starting YouTubes, but no one knows how they got to where they are now. You know, you just see this guy on the banner, but you don't see how he became that guy on the banner. And that's what
Yeah,
I'm trying to do. I'm trying to show the road to how I got to where I got to. Because
yeah,
like no one knows how. Obviously, you know, like he worked hard and stuff, but no one knows what Matt did behind the scenes to become a champion. Like no one knows how like exactly how his life was, and that's what I'm trying to show. I'm trying to show everything so that I can maybe lay down some kind of blueprint for people to follow in the future
mm,
who maybe if they're feeling lost or if they need some motivation or if they need just some help with something, hopefully my videos can help with that.
yeah. No, I 100% agree. I mean, I remember, like, I don't know what it was, but like YouTube between 2011 to 2015, um, with CrossFit, for example, there was just so much like behind
There
the
was a
scenes kind of
lot.
stuff. There was a lot
Yeah.
like Chris Spieler. They were like doing things. Austin
Miko
Mileo,
Selau.
like
Miko
yeah,
Selau, dude. He's like not even known anymore, but that's
not
like one
anymore.
of the
That
guys that documented a lot of his shit. And also somebody in
yeah,
Australia, I forget his name as well. But
there's so many
yeah, I know what you're
guys.
talking about. Yeah.
So many, and I remember like Nico Salo. I remember when he was doing like his vlog, and he's like, "Oh, the doctor wouldn't even take me in today because I have a 42 heart rate." Like, and I'm like, no, like it's normal. I'm a CrossFitter, like, and he's like a firefighter too. It's just it's weird. People don't bring that up anymore. I think it'd be interesting to have that, Leo. I think in the CrossFit space, it's not about. I don't think people, it's there are the big names, there are the Rich Fronings, there are the Matt Frasers. Cool, let's see the guy that's coming up. Let's see a Leo coming up. Let's see, hey, how does he wake up? What's his stretch routine like? Hey, what's his workout look like today? Oh, he had to go to work. He showed his work. Oh, he's struggling with a relationship. Shit. Okay, he's a real guy, and I think people. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think people love that story. I think you're gonna kill it in that space, and you have such a big vision for yourself. I'm getting to the games. I want to win the games. Like you're gonna meet so many people along the way, right, Marcos? He's gonna build a community. Shit.
Well, it's probably not a coincidence that you have, Elijah in your life to be that mentor role. Not that he was done with CrossFitting at the time, but obviously he has a family and he has other influences and desires and ambitions that he was going after, especially like when he bought into this as CrossFit back in the day, right? Like he saw that there was more in the community aspect and the elements of life there that mattered more to him than being, well, at the time, like the only black CrossFitter, realistically, right? Um, and to this day, I still laugh of his paddleboarding event where he's just like out there in the ocean, just like chilling. He's like, "No, I'm done, dude. Like, I don't
Yeah.
swim." But I mean, like, you think about it, like, you get to have stories with that guy that had a different personality in the sport as well, which is another cool angle to document. Um, and realistically, it's like, again, a young kid wants to see the journey. And again, like they probably want to know what the hard work looks like. What does it take to get there? And that's something that people should truly aspire to be to versus just being, Rich Froning, Matt Frazier, right? These guys
Yeah.
that were doing like, I remember when Rich Froning did like a 220 grace in like 4 minutes or 225 grace in like 4 minutes at a time. And it was like,
Wild.
how the hell? Like I can't even do 135 that fast, But when they document it and you post it, that video lives forever. And people can look back to it and shit. I mean, there's still people looking at videos of Ronnie Coleman, right? His sessions of motivation. So it's cool. And I think with anybody, I think things that we've learned in trying to like build a presence, you have to first find a way to be actually aspirational to other people. Like that's like core element number one. And that's something like we haven't figured out quite yet, but something we're trying to figure out how to do. People to aspire, be like, oh, what did you guys do? It's like, yeah, we literally interviewed 20 people in the course of 6 weeks because we didn't know what we needed to know or what to do, and bring on people in all directions, and then it starts painting a landscape for you. Same thing with document. That's just why you just document, dude. Like I think you're right. I think so many people should see more of that, and it might actually dissuade people from trying to compete. That's fine. That's not a bad thing. Like let them know, like if you ain't got 5 hours, chances are these days, like you ain't following main site programming and going to the games like it was in 2011. It just doesn't work that way anymore.
Yeah, it's not the same anymore.
Leo doesn't even know what that is. He's like, wait a minute, what? It's like, yeah, like literally Matt Chan's like, yeah, I'm a firefighter and I make it to the games by doing one workout a day. It's like,
that was, dude, those days were, there's the wild, wild west when they were doing it at the ranch, and fucking wild, just wild.
We're showing our age, Seamus.
Oh shit, man. I mean, I remember the first Froning video was like 2008 or like 2009, and it's like, I think it was like Testosterone Nation or like bodybuilding.com, and they're like, hey, what's up? I'm Rich Froning. CrossFit is kind of a jack of all trades. You're fit in everything. And then he's doing like muscle up, toes to bar, and then like wall balls, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, and he's doing it in like a dark like warehouse. But then he took off his shirt, and I was like, I want to look like this guy. Never mind. Never mind. So yeah, it's a whole different world, man. So so Leo, talking about your YouTube channel, talk about that. Like, you're vlogging. Who are you getting, like an editor? Are you just kind of just throwing that out there and it just starts today? Like, what's going on, man?
Yeah, so my goal with this is just to try to be as transparent as possible, because I truly feel like I live like a one of a kind life. Like just from the people who I live with, my roommates, where I live, my job, where I coach, I feel like most CrossFitters are kind of in a box as far as like how they live, and no one's super flashy in CrossFit. Everyone's pretty down to earth, and everyone's pretty like humble, and everyone goes with the grain, and I'm trying to go against the grain. I'm a pretty like flashy guy, from the way that I live to the way that I dress to the way that I talk, and I want to show that. I want to show who I am, and I feel like I have a pretty big opportunity here to reach a lot of people, especially like the Mexican community and that kind of community, because I feel no one's made it to the games that's Mexican, and I feel like I have a pretty good opportunity with this, and I just want to show like everything. I want to show people how I live, and I want to take them along for the ride.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And it's tough to be flashy when, again, you're a full-time athlete and you're not flashy in the sense of like entrepreneur. Like it's like there's different hats, but you're trying to wear that other hat, and documenting that again could probably show people, oh, like he can still navigate, wearing like the intellectual hat. And again, I mean, you're talking about monetization effectively with like brand deals or other people. But I mean, like I know you've done some like shoots with Mentality, which is a big, big brand, right? And you do it regularly, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm sure most people that have seen the shirts or they see the thing, like the Instagram filter, they don't know that it's like a young and hungry kid that literally created a brand that has like a warehouse distribution somewhere in Arizona, right? Like, and I'm sure, like, again, like you just saying, you're surrounding yourself with people that have big desires, big dreams, ambitions, and there's nothing wrong with being flashy if that's something that you hold as a core value, in the sense that like there should be something about like look good, play good, you know, like
Yeah.
I know for me, like I'm kind of the opposite, but that's just me, you know, that's just like, I want to wear the same shirt every day. I don't want to take that thought process into like, what shorts am I wearing and matching like another pair of shoes. It's like one of everything, you know, but like 100 times over, but that's just, you know, that doesn't resonate with everybody.
Yeah.
But, again too, like you should bring some style and some flash into it and dress well. And, you know, people will be like, oh, well, like, how do you work out in that big ass t-shirt? You know what I mean? You're like, well, here, let me show you, how, you know?
I think CrossFit needs it, man. I think
I
CrossFit
think
needs it, Marcos. I think
they
he's
need
right.
someone like that.
I think they need
Yes.
someone like that because it's like the sport is big enough now that whenever you think of a CrossFitter, like a guy in CrossFit, maybe they're a dad, they're like super humble and all that. Hey, you know what? Maybe we need some fresh, we need some young blood, we need some flash. I mean, it's been a minute for like CrossFit Games to be like more mainstream again, to kind of like, if it's not on your feed, but like for most people to be like, we need someone that's going to be that fresh, that look, bringing some new blood into the mainstream. You know what I'm saying? I think it's time.
Yeah, something that I've always said is like I'm trying to be the McGregor of CrossFit. That person who comes in and just creates havoc, who's like calling out people and who's like, you know, wearing designer and doing all these cool things, but is able to back it up. And that's where
Yeah.
that's where the pressure comes in, where it's like, okay, I'm talking a lot of stuff right now about uh documenting my journey, but what if I never make it? You know, like
Mm-hmm.
what if I vlog and I show everything and I never make the games? So
Yeah.
I'm kind of like betting on myself in that regard, and I like that. I like betting on myself, and I like taking on the pressure. Like, okay, you're gonna go full. You're gonna go full in on this thing. You better make it worth it, and I think I can. So that's why I'm
That's
putting all my chips in.
that's so fire right there. I love what you're doing because like back in the day, like in my high school wrestling days, my coach, because we were like 4-time city and then like qualifiers and all these stuff. He put a bullseye on our back of our jackets because he's like, the target's on you guys. The target's on you guys. Like there's nobody else. They're chasing us. What's wild about you, Leo, is you're literally documenting everything and you're showing your, let's just say, quote unquote competition, like you're showing them everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like everyone in CrossFit was a little bit, like back in the day, a little bit selective with like the media that they were showing. Like I remember Jason Khalipa like wrote that thing like, "What's Rich doing?" Well, knowing you, probably in his fucking barn, walking 50,000 miles with his sled pulls. But like when you show what you're doing, it's wild because what you're doing is you're putting your head in the lion's den, and you're going, "Let's go, let's go, let's see what's up."
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing: everyone knows what you're gonna do, yet you still stomp them. That's the fucking
Yeah.
that's game right there. That's fire.
Yeah, kind of like you can do everything I do, but you can't do it like how I do it.
Yeah,
And that's
you're
just
confident.
how I feel. And that's how I've always felt in CrossFit. You know, like training with Elijah, uh, we had a group of guys, and I remember he sat us all down, and he was like, "Yo, in 3-4 years, Leo's gonna be better than all you guys." And he said that to everyone that I was training with. And at that time, I was the weakest, and I was the the least conditioned in that group. I was just starting CrossFit, but he just said like, "There's something about this kid that when he does something, he could do it better than most people." And that's how I feel, and that's the kind of the mindset that I've carried through my journey is like, yeah, we maybe can do the same program, we maybe can lift the same weights, but I can do it a little bit different, and I can do it better. Even if we're
Yeah,
doing the same thing, I think I can do it better.
yeah.
It, it's again, to get to that level, there's a level of arrogance that needs to be required. It's a bet on yourself, and it's the same thing with business. You know, it really is because if you're unwilling to take that risk and bet on yourself when you need to do it most, this is kind of me calling myself out, Seamus, then it won't get done. You know what I mean? And that's literally the athlete mentality right there, right? Especially in a solo endeavor sport. And of course, again, like you might change the way at which you might like humble yourself in a way, right? Like not like truly being like McGregor in that sense, where it's like, you know, like a cockiness that he walks around with, but like there should be like a swagger to it, right? Like holding yourself with a place like, hey, I I know I can continue to get better at this thing, and you know, you have your shoulders back versus rolled forward, confident in your ability, like you said. I think sometimes people can misconstrue quote like the McGregor mentality because you know it it started one way, it turned into something else, but he turned into a character that's larger than life, right? And people can love and hate the dude at the same time. But again, you want to bring passion to the sport and get more people to bring attention to it. And obviously, the dude's cashed in on it in a way that no other person's been able to monetize. And he's like, fuck it, I'll be the villain, right? Not that you
Yep.
need to be like, quote, the villain in CrossFit, but like some people like the fact that there's like a person there that's going against the grain in that sense, showing up, like you said, and maybe some designer stuff. And probably then ask the question, how does a CrossFitter that does this full time at a pro level afford this stuff? Right. And then you documenting that is a cool thing because it's going to show a level of work ethic that other people don't have in multiple disciplines, which
Yeah.
again may dissuade people to want to watch, or it might inspire them to be like, you can do it all, but it requires what you started this conversation with. I go outside in the morning, I meditate, I spend 3 hours to myself before I go do the hard work of the day. And I don't think a lot of people your age understand the importance of that. You obviously sleep enough, you're recovering enough, you're doing all these things that high level executives that we have conversations with on a daily basis fail to do, man. So, you know, you're doing things for your health even though you don't realize it. That will continue to carry over because you're like, I know I need this time for myself to reflect, think about it, have your tea like you said, and like then go crush the day. But
Yeah.
you know, you're building a discipline right now that can really be unmatched, and I don't think you even realize it, but I guarantee you'll think back to this a couple of years down the road and be like, he was right.
Yeah.
Well, Leo, we want to be respectful and we really appreciate this time. So what we'll do here is, um, where can people find you? Where's your YouTube? What's the handles? And if there's anything else that you want to kind of shout out there before we kind of end for today.
Yeah, so my IG and my YouTube are both at Leo Lafleur with two R's. And I guess I want to shout out Mentality also, just because like you said, that guy, the owner of Mentality, who I'm pretty close friends with, has kind of like changed my perspective on a few things. Like, yeah, you're good at CrossFit. Yeah, you can do these things, but why don't you capitalize on it? And why don't you document it and make money off of it if you're going to be doing it anyways? And he's kind of like changed my perspective on that to kind of be more on the business side versus like an athlete side because that's where all the money is. So I want to give a big shout out to Mentality for changing my mentality on things. And I have a code with them, Franco, my last name. So if you guys want to buy any swag from them, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I got a couple of their shirts because I think I filled in for you for one of the photo shoots, if I'm being honest,
Oh yeah, yeah,
ironically
you
enough.
did.
And someone actually messaged me about it. But when I was around him, and actually my cousin that does a lot of stuff with him as well, um, I was quickly like aware that that group of people are very smart in the new age way of making money, in a sense that like they're seeing things that are bigger than what a lot of normal business owners will do. And it was really inspiring because it wasn't, again, yeah, he pulled up in like probably one of the flashiest cars I've ever seen, you know, whatever, he was the Mercedes at the time. Um, but at the same time, again, there was a level of confidence that he kind of talked about, and the way he talked about even just business structure as, was he like 24, 23?
Yeah, he's like a year or two younger than me, so probably
Yeah.
20, 24.
Yeah. And just like the knowledge that I gained, again, you would think that usually it's the other way around. Oh, the older people are teaching the wisdom. No, the newer kids are inside of this thing, immersed in this new age culture in a way that you can truly learn from. And, you know, they talked about like, I think what it may have started as like affiliate marketing and understanding drop shipping to a degree, and then how it built into like what he's done now. Right. And
Yeah.
to me, I was like, I was super inspired too, hearing that conversation and just kind of taking it in. So I think he's good people, and it's definitely a person to like. I definitely kind of hold in high regard. I know, like, you know, money isn't everything, but at the same time, it does make life a little bit easier, right? But yeah, their shirts super high quality, super dope. Um, they fit a little bit baggy for those people that are wondering, which is good. So like kind of true to size fit. Um, I normally wear like a 2XL and everything else these days, but I can actually wear an XL there. So sizing wise, I appreciate the quotes on it, quality, and yeah, go support Leo as well as Mentality too. So with that, thank you all for listening. Hopefully, you got a little bit of a deeper dive into the beginning of Leo's journey here as he begins his documentation of the next year and getting up into that next tier, right? That games caliber status individual. And Leo, I will say that one of my clients is coming for you. So just a heads up there, aspiring to a similar goal. So, you know, I love both your guys' drive and passion. You guys are both hitting on very similar things in conversations that I've had with him, and then your chat with me here today. And realistically, it's it it's really cool to see young people grow into something and understand that, again, like this is the time where it needs to be fun. You have to define some stuff. So thank you again for your time, dude. We appreciate you. All of your details are going to be in the show notes below. And like Seamus said in the beginning, like, follow, subscribe. Do the same thing for Leo, help him grow his channel as well. We appreciate you all being here and listening, and hopefully next time we'll talk to you soon.